afternoon, H. Choi for Cloud. I am Adeyege Bamibede with the 12 o'clock news, broadcasting live from Sunsplash FM from Alaye, Ekiti State. First, the top story. Ekiti APC taps former Governor Segun to unite party after primary election. Nigeria will emerge stronger despite current hardship, Tinubu said. Use of social violence as weapon of war surge in 2025 United Nations said. To the news in detail. The All Progressives Congress, APC in Ekiti State, has constituted a high-level reconciliation committee headed by former Governor Segun to address grievances arising from the party's recently concluded primary elections and strengthen unity ahead of the 2026 governorship poll. The committee, according to the party, is part of efforts to foster cohesion and ensure a unified front as preparations intensify for the next governorship election in the state. Other members of the committee include former Deputy Governor Professor Modupe Adelabo, Savio Abiodun Aluko, Senator Yemi Adoramodu, Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Stephen Aribasoye, Professor Abibat Adubiaro, Chief Mrs. Ronke Okusonya, and Barrister Kinwale Adeyeye, who will serve as Secretary. The party said the committee has been mandated to engage stakeholders across the state, address concerns arising from the primaries and promote harmony, trust, and collaboration among members at all levels. Speaking on the development, APC State Chairman Olushole Leshin said the party recognizes the contributions of all members and remains committed to resolving differences through dialogue and reconciliation. The Nigerian Democratic Congress Ekiti State Chapter has unveiled its candidates for the 2027 Senatorial, House of Representatives and State House of Assembly elections. NDC chieftain Dr. Ayodele David Adesua, who emerged as the House of Representatives candidate for Ekiti North 1 Federal Constituency, hailed party stakeholders and supporters for the peaceful conduct of the primaries in which the candidates were affirmed. David Adesua, who spoke in Ado-Ekiti after the affirmations exercise on Friday, stressed that the NDC remains committed to transparency, youth empowerment, economic development, and purposeful representation for the people of Ekiti State. Still on Ekiti News. To Oyo State, 16 days after over 40 students and teachers were tried by gunmen in Orire local government area of Oyo State, residents of Yawacha, Alausa and Elshenle village have disaffected their homes over fear and uncertainty. When Saturday correspondent visited the communities, a 30-minute drive from the Oyo to Ogumosho Expressway yesterday, there was near total silence across the village. Most of the houses were under lock and key, while soldiers were stationed at the Eshinle school and different locations within the communities. Speaking in separate interviews with our correspondent, some parents of the abducted kids lamented what they described as government silence. stretched and porous border corridors stretching across Oyo, Osun, Ogun, and Ekiti State have become major infiltration routes for bandits and kidnappers entering the southwest, reporting gathered. Credible sources, including Onchas, operatives of the Odua People's Congress, and local residents, disclosed that armed groups fleeing military operations into the north were exploiting weak civilians across forest reserves and bordering communities to launch attacks at that residents and escape undetected. Findings further revealed that they hold Oyo National Park linking Oyo and Kwara State, as well as forests connecting Osun and Ekiti through Imesili, had become major security threat in the southwest. According to security operatives, many suspect bandits had been dislodged from the areas. In the meantime, rival faction of the People's Democratic Party, led by supporters of Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike and the Tanimu Turaki-led Interim National Working Committee, have traded accusations over plan to endorse former President Goodluck Jonathan as the party's candidate for the 2027 presidential election. While the UK-backed PDP questioned the legitimacy and authority of the Turaki-led faction, the latter accused the minister of attempting to shut down the venue for the planned event. On Thursday, the Turaki-led faction announced plans to convene a convention in Abuja today to formally endorse Jonathan as its candidate. The move came a week after Senator Sandy Ono was screened, cleared, and officially presented as the PDP's presidential candidate for the 2027 election. In a statement on Friday, the PDP National Publicity Secretary, Jungudo Muhammad, called on security agencies to investigate the source of the report and prosecute those behind what he described as an attempt to create political tension and distrust within the polite. In the meantime, Minister for Youth Development, Hayo Dele Olawande, has restated the need for practical skill acquisition among Nigerian youth, saying academic certificates alone are no longer sufficient in today's labor market. He made the remarks yesterday during Youth Forum 2026, where he said many young Nigerians pursue higher education primarily to obtain degrees without developing the practical competencies needed for work. The minister also expressed concern over what he described as unrealistic salary expectations among some graduates, linking the trade to poor career guidance and limited exposure to entrepreneurship and vocational training. In the meantime, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday expressed optimism that Nigeria would emerge stronger, fairer, more united, and prosperous despite the economic and social challenges currently confronting the country. Speaking in a nationwide address to mark the third anniversary of his administration, the president said the difficult reforms introduced since May 2023 were necessary to rescue the nation from fiscal collapse and place it on the path of long-term recovery and sustainable growth. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu acknowledged the hardship Nigerians had endured following the removal of fuel subsidy, exchange rate reforms, and other economic adjustment policies, but insisted that the sacrifices being made by citizens would ultimately yield positive results. The president also assured the International Committee and investors that Nigeria remained committed to democratic stability, economic reform, responsible governance, and mutually beneficial partnerships. To the news beyond Nigeria. The UN Special Representatives on Social Violence in Conflict, Pramila Patten, has warned that nearly 10,000 verified cases of conflict-related social violence were recorded worldwide in 2025. This she described as a sharp escalation in the use of rape and other forms of sexual abuse as weapons of war. Releasing the United Nations annual report at UN headquarters, Burton said in 2025 documented cases of sexual violence as a tactic of war, torture, terrorism, and political repression marked by extreme brutality and overwhelming targeting women and girls increased dramatically. It was detailed in yesterday's report on the UN website titled Conflict-Related Sexual Violence Cases, more than doubled in 2025, UN warns, and obtained by a correspondent today. The UN is calling for strengthened prevention, accountability, and survivor-centered responses, urging member states and the Security Council to intensify action across conflict settings. And to wrap up the news for 12 p.m., here are the top stories once again. Ekiti APC taps former Governor Segun into Unite Party after primary election. Nigeria will emerge stronger despite current hardship, Tinubu says. Use of sexual violence as weapon of war surged in 2025, United Nations report. And there is a news update for 12 o'clock on Splash FM. Thank you for listening. Have a great and wonderful day ahead. I am Adeyegi Bamibade.
On the heels of Efwalayi, on the vibrant waves, Efwalayi, Nawawa, Tatindabiaru, Tadru, you, keep it loud, on the dial, Sunsplash,